All right, so
So, yes, that's what we do here. This is Islander Sewing Systems, and welcome to Tuesdays at 2, where we have lots of great sewing information, including the best and easiest and fastest construction methods, and also lots of great tips and information about fitting and pattern alteration. So, if you're looking for inspiration and more great sewing tips, you've come to the right place.
yes, if you've been with us for the last, I would say, few weeks, but really it's over a month now.
Yeah.
We have done a Baja challenge. We have ended that segment, but we can't. We have extended the challenge to you viewers, and you are stepping up. We have 2 more official entries on the Facebook page, and I really encourage you guys to go take a look at those, whether you are participating in the challenge or not. Mary Berg created very awesome. I love what she did.
She blew some people's minds because nobody thought to do that.
Yes. So she made her Baja longer. It has no hood, but she took the fabric, because we talked about this, and now I can't remember if she's the one who asked or not, but we talked about this. The fabric could go either way. So she has this really cool garment where the stripes are going vertical on one half, horizontal on the other, and it works perfectly, I think.
Oh, yeah, I think it's adorable. Actually, she says she thinks she's going to make more.
Yeah, she wants
Yeah.
to do the welt pockets.
Yes,
And
yes.
speaking of welt pockets, Sandra's. Does
Yeah.
Sandra Stratton has hers. That's our other official, because I know there's more out there. But those are official on the Facebook page that you can go see. And Sandra also made hers longer.
She made hers longer. She put the little elastic button loops and pearl buttons down the front.
Embroidery? Is that embroidery?
Yeah, she made it for her daughter, and her daughter wanted her initials
Yeah,
or a
so it's
school.
like a
Maybe it's a
monogram?
school monogram and a mushroom. And and I talked to Sandra the other day, and she says, I don't know why she wants a mushroom, but that's what she wants. And I said, oh, my granddaughter's big on mushrooms too, so I get it. But anyway, she put the hood on. I'm trying to think of any other changes, but she also made a pair of yoga shorts out of the
Yes.
leftover fabric because she had lots left over. So, yeah, hers is very, very nice. I'm trying to think what else she did. She might have lined the hood. I'm not sure.
Mary says, I didn't even need to match any stripes, because hers had the
Yeah.
vertical and the
Yep.
horizontal. So, hey, it's a great design element and made your life easier.
Yeah. She put the side seam pockets in, but she said next time she'll do the welts. And that's what Sandra Stratton had done.
Yes.
She used the welt pocket from pattern 218, our Jacket Express pattern, one of our very most popular patterns. And that welt pocket is not only in the Jacket Express, it's in the Fast and Fabulous as well as the Irish Coat. So if you have any of those 3 patterns, you can use that welt pocket, and you can see what Sandra did when she put it in. But she loves that pocket. She said ever since she made that jacket, she's used that pocket pattern several times.
Yes. Oh, Sandra said she turned back the cuff. Turn back cuff, she wrote.
Okay.
This is another thing that she did. But yes,
Yeah, I can't look at it right now, but it's, yeah. And I think she wrote what all she did.
Yes. And I really like that. Everyone's been doing that so far, writing the changes that they made. And like Mary added what she might do differently next time.
Yeah, any hiccups, anything to avoid. Yeah, that's just fun information, and inspires the rest of us.
Yes, so very excited about that. You still have another full week to get your entry in. So by midnight next Tuesday, the 15th, and then the following Tuesday, the 22nd, we will announce the winner.
That's right. That's right. And that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be fun to see them all, because we know we've cut a lot of kits that haven't shown up yet. And I know we have at least one more entry that I think is fabulous. Now, what happened was I had 2 people last week write me and say they couldn't figure out how to get it up, and they were just frustrated. So I said, okay. You know, and I gave them both the directions that I knew if you were using a computer, and Mary got hers up, but I haven't heard from the second woman. But here's the thing, if you can't get it up, we still want to see it. Send me an email. I would prefer to help you get it up so you can write the description.
Yes.
But if that's not possible, you could write me a description and I'll put it up for you. But we want
try to get it up. If you're having
all.
a hard time or you don't have somebody to help you, you know, don't work yourself into a tizzy.
No,
I know
please. That's
can
easy
happen
to do.
all of us. Shoot us an email, islandersewing@comcast.net, and we'll help you out. But we'll get it up there one way or another. But yeah, just give it a try, and if it's not working out for you, write us an email.
All right, and that's islandersewing@comcast.net. islandersewing@comcast.net.
All right, Jillian's working on hers. She said she's pretty excited about what she's doing. She did a muslin first, so
Wise woman.
she's a good learner, Jillian. I have figured that out about her. Okay, so Ruth, they're under posts on our Facebook page. And I might be able to get to, well, no, I can't because it's our page. If I send you the link, it's not going to be the same. Yeah, just go to posts or community are the two things that it will say depending on what you're using, phone, computer, Android,
I
Apple.
find it extremely unfortunate that this is the way it works. And not being a techie, I don't get it. But it's very hard for us. We know how to post those pictures if you're using a laptop. But if you're using an iPad or a cell phone or an iPhone or a Galaxy.
Well, and that's saying we know how to do it today.
Yes.
So we may wake up tomorrow.
and they have changed it. Because they changed it last time. And I kept telling people, go to community. It's not there anymore.
That's the only reason we hesitate to give you exact directions, because it is not apples to apples. It is all over the place. And what is today could change tomorrow. So please feel free, before you get yourself too worked up, to send us an email and we will help you out.
All right.
Okay. Okay, so that's the updates on that. And then we're going to kind of talk about something else today.
Okay.
I wonder what it could be.
I hope some of you have gotten your newsletter, because that'll give you a little hint.
Yes.
Yeah. Anybody
We're
else?
bringing Brenda back into the mix today. Not physically, of course, if you know Brenda. But we have a cute little story for you about her and her family. So, did you want to?
Yeah, I'll just give you the thumbnail sketch. Some of you may have already read the article. And basically, Brenda sews for all her grandkids. She has 5. And they love getting stuff from Grandma. And she makes them pajamas. And she even made a little sport coat that the kid will not give up, even though it's way too small. She's going to have to make another one. And the same thing happened with the shirts. So she made them the Islander Junior shirts when we first developed the pattern. And I made them for my grandkids too. I mean, we couldn't wait. And so this year, when they got out their summer clothes, Brenda's oldest grandson, he wanted his Islander shirt that she'd made him. And they said, it's too small. Nope. Mm-mm.
You don't know what
Fits
you're talking
just
about.
fine. And he did not want to give it up. And he has a younger brother, not that much younger, so he could pass it down and it would fit Charlie right away. But he didn't want to do that. So Brenda, the wise woman that she is, she went to the computer and she opened up our website and she said, Grandma's going to make you a new shirt. You get to pick the fabric. And both boys picked their fabric and Grandma made them new shirts, of which she'll have to repeat again. In 6 to 8 months.
And again.
But she's a fabulous seamstress, and she uses Islander technique, so it goes pretty quick. But she's also a very loving grandma. And I always recommend, whenever possible, to let the kids be involved somehow. And picking the fabric is a great way to do it. So they're very excited, and you'll see the pictures of Miles and Charlie when you open up your newsletter.
They are so adorable. If you're not familiar with what we're talking about, the Islander shirt is behind us. This is one of our very first patterns, right?
No, it's not that early. What number is it?
208.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty early. Yeah, it's a very popular, based on a high-end resort wear shirt. It hangs beautifully. And the reason that it hangs so beautifully is that we bought a commercial pattern at a chain store. And it was a shirt similar to that. Now, this is like 15, 20 years ago. And made it up. And the whole front hung up high. So it just like, it was shorter in the front than it was in the back. And no one at this company had probably made this up or worn it to see that it wasn't going to hang right. So we examined a high-end designer shirt that's the same style, and you're going to notice on our pattern we took a hint from him, because the pattern just gently curves down in order for it to hang straight while it's being worn. So it's a beautiful shirt, and it is superior to some of the others that you might find because of that that's just one of the details.
So it is a unisex shirt. You know, it's a boxier style. So keep that in mind if you're making it.
This is not fitted for women. It does not come in at the waist at all. It's very loose fitting. And if you want like a shirt like that, great. It's great. If not, some people have actually. I do believe that Sherry Gregory said she might have trimmed hers in a little bit to give it more style. And she's got pictures of her husband. She made one for her husband. So she and her husband have matching Islander shirts. And there's a picture of them in the post. So take a look at that. They're beautiful shirts. Beautiful.
So this is one, you know, of our earlier patterns. One of our best sellers still. Because it's so versatile. Obviously, you can make it with the bright or big tropical prints, but you could see also in here in the back that I just need to get it to get in focus.
A little stripe.
There we go. There's the stripe in the back, and that makes it more subtle. It can be dressed up. You could wear it on a cruise. You can just throw it on to go to the beach. Dressed up, dressed down.
Now, View
Casual
B is
wedding.
the one that I don't make often, but a lot of people request it because
The striped one you're talking about?
Yeah, because View B, the striped one she's talking about, the only difference is the neckline, and the neckline has the traditional two-piece collar, where the View A has what's called a convertible collar. Some men, especially the more mature men from the boomer era, they just are not wearing a shirt unless it has that collar stand.
More formal.
More what they're used to.
Pronounced
Everyday, basic man's shirt, but you can make it special by making sure it fits and getting some really beautiful fabric. But don't make him the convertible collar if he's telling you he won't wear it. And he just like, you can talk all day long about how beautiful the fabric is and how great it matches his eyes and everything else, but if it's not a style that he is comfortable in, he's not going to wear it.
I mean, really, that goes for making anything for anyone.
Well, that's true.
Unfortunately.
That is true.
Even if you know better, don't put the work in if they're saying no, because they're not going to wear it.
Yeah.
But
it's disappointing.
overall, you get both options for this.
Yeah,
so
that's what we're trying to say.
If you have somebody that is not interested in the more casual, they want that, it's included in here.
And they may want the tropical print, they just want the collar stand that makes
Yes.
them, and the placket down the front. That just makes it more manly for them, I think.
Okay, so Marlene has a question as far as, you know, for the women. She says, I have to have darts for a large vest, which I'm sure she means bust because I know that about her. Would it be possible to add French darts to the Islander shirt? Well, I know you can add darts, but would it look good? Is what she's asking.
I would do a muslin, and yes, it is possible. It's also possible to add a dart after the fact, but I'm not going to give you directions on how to do that here. But it is possible. You might want to look that up. I know Lorraine Henry is the one who's got it in writing. But otherwise, just nipping it in a little bit. Oh no, she wants it to bust. Remember too that it does have that lower hem in the front, which will also help accommodate a bust. But if you need more than the French darts, you could kind of play with those too.
Yep.
I think what I was trying to say is it's also possible to add a side dart, a basic side bust dart after the fact, but you do have to do some altering to the pattern.
All right. If you need help, you know how to reach Janet. I was going to say us, but I can't help you with that.
Okay.
I can help you get a hold of Janet.
Well, hey, that's something.
So Janet had, again, one of our most popular patterns, and she has grandchildren. So she started making them for the grandchildren.
Yeah.
For the boys, because, I mean, is there anything cuter than a little boy in a little button-up shirt in matching daddy or grandpa or whoever?
Yeah.
So every time the boys would wear that or she would show it off, well, do you have a pattern for that? Well, do you have a pattern? No, I don't. Do you have a pattern for that? No, I don't. Well, eventually you wore her down and she created a pattern for that. So the little kids pattern.
So it comes in 3 different size ranges right here.
Focus.
You all know, or a lot of you know, Emmett. He's our favorite model here. And this is the 2 to 6 range.
All right. And then you have, and again, unisex. It does not have to be just for little boys. Here's our...
Especially, you know, the kids.
Yeah.
They don't have the body shape.
Similar shape anyway.
They have the same shape anyway, yeah.
This is the, what, 7 to 12?
Yes, and here's Emmett again, but he's with his older sister, my granddaughter Layla, Jessica's daughter. And Layla is wearing a dobby, and we have a dobby print. You can see it in the newsletter because Miles' new shirt is made out of it. But all the rest we have are the lawns. And the dobby's got just a little more body than the lawn, if you're wondering what the difference is.
All right, so we have shown you the 2 to 6, the 7 to 12, and then our largest size, which will then, after this, take you right into the adult sizes, is the 14 to 18. And wow, Emmett graced all the covers.
Emmett, I went through those pictures and I couldn't resist. Emmett was in all of them. And this is Jack. Jack is my grandson.
The second oldest.
The second oldest. Yes, he is. And his name is actually Jack Nicholson.
And so there he and Emmett are. So you got your 2 to 6, your 14 to 18, and then you can have your adult sizes. It can be a whole family affair. But you could see even in this that they're not wearing the same fabric. They are, coordinating similar, but not the same. So you don't have to, if it's not your style to have everybody in the exact same.
Yeah, they don't have to match. If you want to do like some shirts for the family, they don't have to all match. But it's fun to have I've done them for grandpa and grandson, and I've done them for father and son. Well, actually, there's this set right back here. Is Eric and Emmett from 2 years ago. Unfortunately, Emmett can't wear that shirt anymore.
He even said, that's too small.
So, but that was fun. And they looked really, really cute. We went to Kalahari. They wore them at Kalahari for Thanksgiving dinner one year.
Yes.
Yeah. It's fun to have some memories like that. You remember where you were and what you were wearing.
Carissa, we started with the adult sizes. Yep, that's what we started with before we got in. So, of course, we have all. And it goes, everything for the adult is in one pattern, extra small to 4XL. So you only have to get one on those. But if you were going to get the children's, you want to make sure you're checking that size range, getting the first one, or the appropriate one, I'm sorry. Marlene said too, sewing a child's shirt would be a great way to learn the techniques before sewing.
That was Marlene?
Yep.
Marlene, you're a genius. A few years back, that's what we started doing in some of our shirt classes, is providing the little boys kit. And that way, I think we were using the Easy Shirt.
The Easy Shirt.
Easy Shirt. We also have that in boys. And then it just, every seam was a lot shorter. Less buttonholes, less buttons, everything.
Less time.
Yeah, so it just took the same class and made it more doable in the same amount of time because we were just sewing that much less. So yeah, it's a great way to learn.
And if you're not familiar with Islander sewing systems, kind of what Marlene is saying with the techniques is Janet teaches you about the industrial method of sewing while you're making the shirt through the pattern. She gives you tips and tricks on how to make it faster and look more professional. So that is a great way to start if you're going to start with the kid's shirt.
Now this pattern was one of our sew-alongs. And you can find that sew-along either here on Facebook or in the playlists on our YouTube channel. The nice thing about the playlists on the YouTube channel is you can get there really fast. You just click playlist, then you click Islander shirt, and you've got, I think there's 4 or 5 episodes.
You can get there super, super fast if you click the link I just put in the comments.
There you go. That's
and that'll take you right to the sew-along.
Just trying to one-up me.
But if you lose that, Islander Sewing Systems on YouTube, and then just go to the playlist. It's super easy to find.
Now, the difference between the adults and the children's is very small difference. So the basic construction is the same. You will find some of the seam allowances slightly different, and you will find that the method of doing the side vent is a little bit different. So you can use the video, particularly if you're going to make both children's and adults. Do the adult first, and then you'll have some of the technique down. But if you're doing the children's, you can still watch the video. Just be mindful of the seam allowance. I might say that it's 3/8 and it's really a half for the pattern you're using, or vice versa. And again, the construction on the vent is different, so you'll need to refer to the pattern guide. But we have beautiful, well-illustrated, step-by-step pattern guides with every step illustrated. So whether you use the video or not, you'll be well guided.
Yes. A couple comments. There was 2 comments about having a hard time getting the newsletter. We have heard that in the past from time to time. There can be a couple different reasons. So please email us islandersewing@comcast.net and we can look into that for you. One of the most common is if you've ever unsubscribed from us, or if maybe you share an email and somebody else unsubscribed for you. It can be hard getting you back in just because of the laws of, spam and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, the software we use to create our emails is very cognizant of that. So they have some protections on there. So me as a newsletter producer can't go in there and resubscribe you every time you unsubscribe. That would be very annoying. And so if you unsubscribe, I can't resubscribe you. You have to do it.
But sometimes there is just like a glitch in that. So
contact us.
Yeah, contact us. But I'm throwing that one out there just in case you want to think about it, if that might apply to you, and we can help. But either way, we want to help. Make sure you're getting the newsletter and getting it in the appropriate amount of time. Carissa, I put the link in the comments for the sew-along. You could find it. I gave you the YouTube link because that's going to be the easiest, I think, for most people. You can find it here on the Facebook page as well under videos. She just said she saw it. Okay.
One more thing about the newsletter. Today's newsletter will be archived on our website. So if you are one of those people that's stuck in the hole that hasn't been getting your newsletters yet, while we're trying to help you fix that, you'll be able to see that on the newsletter page on our website under archives. I will archive it as soon as we're done here. So it's not there now, but it will be there after the show.
Okay. So we want to, if you have any questions about making the shirt, either the adult or the child's version, now is your time to ask. And we also have some tips and tricks for you. We've all made the shirt, at least one of them. And Brenda and I were talking, all three of us were talking at lunch about different things that we have found helpful. One thing that I think Brenda mentioned was matching the center front. And Janet has a great tip on how to do that. It is in that series for the sew-along.
Yes, the beginning of all of our sew-alongs is the cutting, and it's extremely important with this one if you want to create what they call as a true Hawaiian shirt. And true Hawaiian shirts always match the motif down the center front, so it's a continuous print, and they always match the one pocket so that you can't even see the pocket in a photograph because it just blends in so well. We give you the tips, and it's easier than you think on how to do that. So we give you the tips that we've figured out to be the easiest.
But before you get cutting, make sure you watch that because you might be quite disappointed when you have your fish, like you could see here, and then you got a fish head and a fish tail not matching up.
The bigger the motif, the more obvious the mismatching can be. But you can see each of the, do a little pan, can you, Jess? Am I asking?
Yeah, what do you want?
Well, just to pan the pockets. All of these have pockets on them, and you can see the center fronts on them match. Even the big motif with the palm trees. I would say this one doesn't. I didn't notice this one. We had a sample maker make, and we didn't get it cut.
Yeah, and sometimes you can get away with it. That doesn't bother me. It doesn't.
Yeah, that one doesn't look bad at all.
It doesn't bother your eye because it is a big kind of abstract-y print. But sometimes you're going to get that whole thing put together, and I need you to move your head.
All right.
And it can be distracting. So just something to think about before you get started and what you want that final look to
even
be.
Emmett's little shirt here has a little pocket.
You can't
and these
see it.
pockets are curved.
Oops.
And there's a really neat tip in there. Or if you took our no pins, no basting and we did some crimping, that's how that rounded pocket gets constructed. But we put the tip right straight out of the book into the pattern guide for the crimping. So it'll help you.
Yes, so we have fabric on the website. People are asking about that, and we'll get to that in a little.
Oh yeah, don't start shopping yet. We got some news if you haven't read the newsletter.
So that was one tip. Think about the front, what you want it to look like before you start cutting. Learn how to match those fronts as well as the pocket. Of course, if you cut the pocket out and it doesn't match, you'll have enough fabric to cut another pocket in most cases.
Another thing that might not be, I didn't look in the pattern guide because that one was from so long ago. We're using strictly light and stable for everything that you need interfacing. Yeah. So any interfacing you need. So when you buy the kit, we give you a full yard of light and stable, so you'll be able to do your shirt. So we put some interfacing in the hems, and just to give it that more classier shirt look, and of course in the collars and down the front.
Yeah, so light and stable. Brenda also mentioned, because she's closest to this right now, so she's been making them, think about the scale of the design on your fabric. So most things work out just fine for an adult, but you might not want fish this big on a little kid's shirt or giant palm trees or something, because you might
leaves,
not end up with a whole palm tree.
Yeah, you may end up with a stump. So that would be so funny. But so Brenda did say that was a good tip to consider the scale. So like when we made tiny little Emmett's first one, which is the one on this end, we used something that is very fine. And this one here with the little fish. But it looks equally as good in his father's shirt. So the scale's not too small for the adult, but sometimes it can be too big for the child.
Ooh. Allergies. So that's tip number 2 to think about.
Yes.
Also, if you're making the child's shirt, something that has worked out well for me with Emmett is when you're going between the sizes and you're trying to pick out, you know, what size does this kid wear. We always put finished garment measurements. Janet always does that. It's so helpful on the back of the pattern. Think about the length. If you're in between, you know, kind of look at the length, look at your kid's body, because as you know, kids don't grow at that age so much wider as they do taller. You're going to get more use out of the shirt with the longer length. I'm not saying, you know, make a shirt that's too big, but it's just something to keep in mind. You can also they can continue to wear the shirt maybe and not button it. Wear a tank top underneath and leave it open. That's a fun look, and it's in right now.
Yeah, Gavin's very into that. He's the 15-year-old. So true. And I would say that the size not growing width-wise, I'm not positive, but my guess would be that's between the 2s to the 8.
Yeah.
And they just don't get a lot wider, maybe a half inch or so in circumference. So what Jessica's saying is you could, if you're kind of in between, go with the longer one, because he or she's probably not going to be that much bigger in the shoulder or the chest next year, but they're probably going to be taller. And so, or they go through those growth spurts in the middle of the summer, and all of a sudden the clothes are looking funny.
Or we made these for Thanksgiving, the fish one, but then by the time summer comes around, not so good anymore. But if it's long enough, like I said, you could wear it open with a tank top or a t-shirt underneath.
Yeah.
And just a little something to think about getting more use out of it.
Yes.
Before you have to make another one.
All right, here's my tip with that. I don't think you wrote that down, but
I did not write this down, but I do have the link prepared.
Okay. So when you're working with lawn, not so much the dobby, and like I said, there's only the one geometric dobby on there, so all the rest are lawns. We are going to tell you, for the very best success in sewing on lawn, you want to use a specific thread. But before I go into the thread, let me just say this about lawn for those of you who aren't familiar with it. And if you watch our show very often, you can't not be familiar with it, but because we love it so much. But cotton lawn is almost like silk in its fine thread. Silk has a very fine thread. Well, this thread is very fine, even though it's 100% cotton. It almost feels like silk. And it is the lightest and coolest fabric you can make a shirt out of. So you can wear this in a tropical setting and be completely comfortable. But because it is such fine threads, using a regular construction thread is a little thick, and it might cause some puckering. So if you use a fine thread and a small needle, size 10, universal will be fine. So the fine thread is important to get the best smooth look and smooth seams.
I guess you only need to see the front of one of these. But Janet pulled 2 to show you this is what she likes to use, the Dual Duty XP Fine. The problem is it's not readily available in a lot of colors. So Joann's carries, 3
to 4, that is not enough, because there's probably they don't sell lawn.
No.
So there's probably not a lot of call for it. But we did find a website.
Yeah, so when Janet first found this, she was super excited, immediately told everybody about it, to which they were like, but where?
Yeah.
But where do I buy this? So there is a place online that has 22 colors. So not as many as, your regular, but it should do you just fine.
Well, with a tropical print, usually you can go with a variety of different colors or shades because there's so much going on in it. But if that turns out not to be the case and you just cannot find the right color for the top stitching, then get this for the construction and then maybe use an embroidery thread, because embroidery threads you can get any color under the sun and they're fine enough to use. So you could do your top stitching with the embroidery thread that would blend in and match the fabric better.
So I want to make it clear that this is the Dual Duty XP, but it's specifically the fine.
It'll say fine right on there.
So yes, they do carry the Dual Duty XP, but this is the fine.
Dual Duty XP is a 40 weight. This is most likely a 50. The bigger the number, the lighter the thread. So top stitching is a 30 weight. Basic construction is a 40. This is most likely a 50. They probably on there don't give. Here's another.
60.
It's 60, so it's even a little bit thinner yet. 60 weight. So you can see it's 2 weights lighter, but the difference is amazing. When we first got some great lawn in here and I sat down to stitch on it, I just could not, no matter what needle, no matter what I did, I couldn't get it to lay flat. And it's got to lay flat in my book, especially when you're top stitching. It's got to be smooth. And so we went and we grabbed some fine thread, and voila, that was the answer, along with the smaller needle.
So I put the link in the comments to a website called sewingpartsonline.com, and they carry 22 colors of the Coats & Clark Dual Duty XP Fine. I'm sure that there are other
I'm not sure.
You're not sure.
No,
there may or may not be other thread out there that will work, but we are telling you that other thread,
yes.
Not other places to buy it, other brands or whatever. But we have used this.
Yes,
and can recommend it. That it works great.
I've even used embroidery thread when I had to. There's nothing wrong with it as long as it's a good strong polyester. So you could do that. You could do that in a pinch, and definitely you could top stitch with it.
Yes. So that is tip whatever I lost count of. And Janet has an important message on buttons.
Oh.
Don't you?
Yes.
Did you forget it already?
The tip on buttons is, because, again, as we sew for people, some of them are 6'5" and some of them are 5'1". So the length of the front is going to be different. And then it's like, well, how many buttons do I need? And where do I put them? Well, we give you instructions to put the buttons 3 inches apart. And when you start to get to the bottom of your shirt, then it's like sometimes you get to that point, I don't know if I should put another button in. Is it going to be too close to the bottom? Or is it going to be too far away if I don't? So now this is a kid's, and this is only got about a 3.5 inch space here. That would be the smallest I'd want for the kids. But because I had to go up another 3 inches, I was going to have better than a 6-inch opening here. And that was going to be almost to the kid's waist. And that would not be a good look. So take that into consideration on the adults. And with the adults, I wouldn't want any more than 3 inches here. So if my next button was going to came here, I wouldn't put another button in, is what I'm trying to say. So on the adults, it's usually closer to 5 inches before I would stop. I don't want a 3 or 4 inch opening down there and have that buttoned all the way down here, because it's just, it's not comfortable and it doesn't hang as nice.
Right.
So you want
remember, this is, even though you can dress this up, it's a casual, lightweight.
What have we got on Eric's from the bottom? So like this one.
That one, yes.
This one, yes, but again, we had a sample.
Yeah, don't count that one.
Don't count that one. All right, this one is like 6.5 inches. And I wouldn't put another button because we'd have to come all the way down here and it would look funny. So 6.5 inches on that one. Let's see on this one. This is a bigger size, so look. This one is also 6.5. So if you get to that point, that's your answer. You don't need another button. Now, both of these, this one is made for a man is about 5'9", 5'10". If I made this same shirt for somebody who was, well, you made this one, right, Jess?
Yeah.
Well, for somebody who was 6'2" or 3, his shirt would be a lot longer, and it may take one more button. So you just have to use your best judgment on how many buttons to put down the front.
All right, so if you have any questions about that, let us know. And I want to go back because we have some questions on the thread.
Okay.
So you were talking about using this for the lawn,
Yes.
correct? So not any Islander shirt that you make.
Oh, no, this is specific to
Specifically
lawn,
to the lawn.
fabric. And we have some other lawns as well. They're not part of today's discussion, but I would use this on those too. Any lawn, again, is going to be a finer weight thread that it has been woven with, which makes the fabric finer, which makes it lovely. I mean, these lawns that we have rival Liberty. So if you've ever used a Liberty or a Liberty of London lawn, the lawns that we're carrying, both the Hawaiian and the Japanese, rival that quality. And so they're a little pricier than just a basic cotton, but you'll see the difference, and it'll last almost indefinitely. And this fabric, I mean, I've got garments made out of it that have gotten a ton of wear, and they still look beautiful.
Sophie's asking what stitch length you would use with the...
I still would use a 3, but you know, I always talk about doing your stitch sample. Who is it?
Sophie.
Sophie. I take 2 pieces of the fabric that have both been interfaced and sandwich them together to create a stitch sample after I cut out my garment. And this piece might be 6x8, 7x10, I don't know. It depends on your scraps. So both pieces are interfaced. I sandwich them together, interfacing on the inside. I stitch around. Now I have exactly the weight of fabric and interfacing that I would be stitching on to top stitch and that I would be putting buttonholes in. Now I'll take my thread colors that I think I want to use for top stitching, and I'll run them down there, and I'll try a 3 or a 3.5 inch stitch length, whatever, to find out what looks best to my eye. And then I put the sample away, and when it gets to the end of the shirt and I got to do buttonholes, now I have that sample again and I do my buttonholes in there. And in the meantime, if my tension should go awry, we all know that happens occasionally, or something's just hiccuping and knotting up the thread or whatever, get the stitch sample back out and make sure and get everything straightened out before I start stitching on my garment again.
Janet said she uses a size 10 needle with the lawn and the fine thread.
I exclusively use Schmetz Needles, and I love the whole concept of the company, and especially since they now started color coding their needles, so you know what size by looking at it. And they have on their website, which is schmetzneedles.com, a whole what would you call it? It's a
guide.
Thank you. It's a guide. It's a guide on what needle to use with what fabric or what operation or threads. All kinds of great information, like why am I having trouble? That double eye needle came out, and that's a needle that has 2 eyes in it, not 2 needles, 2 eyes, and I couldn't make it work. I could not make it work, and I went to their website, and they said sometimes you have to lower, believe it or not, I didn't believe you could do this, you have to lower the needle a hair. So you unscrew and you bring the needle down just a hair and screw it back up, and then it'll work, and sure enough, it worked. So that saved me a lot of aggravation, because I had no idea who to ask why that wasn't working. So anyway, great website, schmetzneedles.com.
Great website, great company. Great needles.
There you go.
Can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong.
Okay, so those are the tips. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. If you're working on something and have questions, send us an email. But we want to get to the sale portion. So we have had adult kits for a while. And that is going to include your pattern, your fabric, and you can choose the fabric from the drop down, your interfacing,
and the hand dyed
buttons.
coconut shell buttons that you can't find anyplace else because I hand dye them and right here. So we coordinate them with whatever fabric you choose, and like Jessica says, you get to choose the fabric, you choose the size range, and we'll put the appropriate amount of fabric in your kit.
So those are already discounted, so you don't have to worry about that when you purchase it. You don't need anything special. They're already discounted for you on the website.
Yeah, at least 20%. So it's a really great deal if you don't already have the pattern. But if you already have the pattern...
Oh, if you already have the pattern, the Hawaiian print lawns or the dobbies for what, the next week?
Yes.
Are 20% off. So if you want to go on and get just the fabric, it's 20% off. And while you're in there, you might as well get the kids pattern for 20% off too.
All 3 size ranges are 20% off this week.
Now for those, you're going to need a code. Janet, you tell them the code while I type it.
Okay, the code is BECOOL21. BECOOL 21. Be cool in 21. But don't put the in there. Be cool 21. So that will get you 20% off any of the children's size Islander junior shirt patterns and any of the lawns that are in the Hawaiian group or that one dobby that's in there. So we have never run those on sale that I can remember, but we know so many of you already have the pattern and you've enjoyed making these. So we're going to throw that out there for you and give you a little discount, or 20% discount on the fabric. And the buttons, if you need buttons and you don't want to buy the whole kit, you can order the buttons separately as well. But it has to be with these fabrics. It can't be, I've had people order the buttons and I'm like, I don't know what color to send. They don't have their fabric. So we just do it for our fabrics, for our Hawaiian prints.
The code is good for a week. And just a reminder, all sizes come in the adult, so you don't have to worry about that. Extra small to 4XL. And then there's the 3 sizes of the children's pattern. So just make sure you're looking at that when you decide which one to choose. And then back to the needles in Schmetz. Teresa, I'm glad you brought that up. They have an app too.
Oh, that's right.
So
they got that app.
if you're away from the computer, if you're at the store and you're like, what do I need for this project? Yeah. They have the app.
Oh yeah, I've got to download that. I forgot that they went and created that. But that is great because if you're not at your computer and you need an answer, like at a workshop or something, yeah, that would be great.
Bingo bango. All right. So I suppose we should let them do some shopping.
Oh, all right. Well, we're going to be back next week, and we've got a great show already planned, so we're excited about that, and some new specials. Well, something really special. We have a whole new product, so that'll be exciting.
I'm just going to put the link to the fabrics that qualify for that 20% off in the comments right now. So then we'll stay for a minute so you can be able to click that. Because it's not all the fabrics, but it is the Hawaiian lawns, and there's one dobby, like Janet said. So I put that link right in the comments for you to be able to see. And there's a drop down on the website if you want to check it out again later.
And 2 of the new fabrics are in the newsletter on Miles and Charlie. So you can see them made up.
Which is always nice.
Yeah. we try to do everything we can to help you understand, see what the scale is and the color is and everything. But it's really nice to see it made up.
All right. So we will be back next week, Tuesday at 2
Eastern time.
Yes.
Yeah. We will be here in this nice, muggy, warm weather.
Yeah.
Glad we're inside.
Again, if you have questions about your project, questions about your order, islandersewing@comcast.net. It's the fastest way to get a hold of us and get your questions answered. If you're trying to get your photo up for the Baja Challenge, you can email or send a message to the Facebook page.
And we don't want just Baja. We want,
anything.
We love to see what you sew. And like Jessica always says, it doesn't have to be our fabric. It doesn't have to be our pattern. It could just be our techniques. But if you used our techniques, our patterns, our fabrics, anything that you've learned from us, then post a garment and tell others about it, because we're all about being a group of like-minded people who love to sew and inspiring each other. I know that I've already heard from people who have been inspired by seeing somebody else's thing on there, or by being a part of the challenge and having to kind of push themselves.
And we know from going to different workshops and shows and stuff that sometimes people don't have a sewing community. They're the only one. And while people can compliment you and say, "Oh my gosh, that's so great, I can't believe you made that," it's not always the same appreciation as someone else who knows how much work or what it took to do that. So
well, yeah, your friend might say, or your colleague at work might say, "Oh, did you make that? Well, that's nice," but they have no more input because they liked it and now they know they can't buy it, so they're pretty much out. But somebody who sews is going to go, "Oh, what pattern did you use? What is that fabric? Is that wool?
How did you do that?
Yeah, the lining.
How did you make your stripes go vertical and horizontal?
You are amazing." Yeah. So it is a huge difference.
Share and so everybody can see. All right, we'll look forward to that, and we will see you next week.
On Tuesdays at 2, Islander Sewing Systems. Thanks for coming, everybody. We really enjoy your company.